right, John Hammond. How
Hey,
you
hey,
doing?
how's it going? I'm well, man. How about yourself?
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. So for those who don't know who you are, could you kind of give like a basic introduction about yourself and things like that?
Sure thing. Yeah. Well, hi. Hey, hello. My name is John Hammond. I work for my day job, right, to kind of pay the bills. I work at a company called Huntress. It's a cybersecurity company that does it offers software as a service. We have an agent that will kind of go and be installed on your computers or your machines so that it can look for hackers and kind of their access that they try and maintain with like a backdoor or implants or persistent footholds, and then we can try and send reports and remediate it and get the hackers out just by trying to find that persistent foothold. So that's a lot of fun. It's very technical, and they still kind of put me in the spotlight doing presentations and blog posts and webinars and a lot of stuff. But along with that, I run a YouTube channel where I try to showcase other cybersecurity concepts, whether it's like capture the flag challenges and walkthroughs, or programming tutorials, or other analysis. Just a lot of nerd stuff that's kind of fun.
That's cool because that's how I'm sure a lot of people know you from your YouTube channel. So can you kind of explain that, like the history of your content? Because I know you used to be Root of the Null. That's correct, right?
Yeah,
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 you
yeah,
used,
yeah.
you used to be Root of the Null, and then you kind of changed into the John Hammond name. So can you kind of talk about that?
For sure. So when I was younger, when I kind of first wanted to get into this sort of thing, I wanted to learn computer science and programming and cybersecurity because, like every kid growing up, they always say like, "Oh, I want to make video games," or "I want to be a hacker," and I was one of those kids. So I had stumbled across, I think it was like Eric S. Raymond, or one of the guys kind of in the sphere for Unix and Linux and that sort of thing. And he had a blog post that was literally called How to Become a Hacker. And it said, like, look, if you want to get into this sort of thing, then you should learn a programming language. So they had recommended Python because it was like easy to read, easy to write. It was beginner friendly. It was welcoming. So I tried to Google around and I researched and I'd look up on YouTube Python programming tutorials. So that's how I learned. And maybe that was like over a decade ago. And I thought, well, I'm learning through YouTube videos. So wouldn't it be cool if I were to try and like test myself by also trying to teach how to make or do stuff with Python? So I started to make cheesy YouTube videos that were really bad, but they're, again, probably a decade old now. And that was under the alias, or like the hacker handle, Root of the Null. And for a long time, I think going through kind of my life, because I was still kind of in school at that point, I was interested more in the software development, the programming aspect, to just make things, like create and build. And then when I got into kind of my undergrad and college, it was with the U.S. military academy and institution. So they care more about like the security of stuff. Not only can you make things or build things, but can you break things? Like, is it secure if someone else were to use this program? So that kind of introduced me into capture the flag. That introduced me into vulnerabilities and exploits. And I don't know. I don't remember when I would have switched it to John Hammond as my name rather than Root of the Null. But I remembered, like, sweet, I want to wear kind of like who I am is what the channel is, so I can fluctuate and kind of do whatever I'd like. But that was definitely the transition between strict programming tutorials to then capture the flag and then security. And kind of now that I'm working with Huntress, I poured in a little bit of a malware analysis flair into some of the videos. So I guess that's the trajectory.
Got you. That's awesome. So
Thanks.
your channel history, of course, talking about CTFs and malware development. And I knew you're doing malware analysis videos a lot, which is pretty cool because that's how I got into cybersecurity a little bit, is through
Nice.
malware development. Where are you trying to drive your channel into the future?
Ooh. It's interesting because, like, I feel like very comfortable, very happy. Like, I'm proud of kind of what I've put out and what I've done. But it's cool to see, like, hey, how can I grow? What more can I do? How can I make this channel flower and blossom even more than if it already has? So I'll try to think of like what's hot, what's kind of the cool new thing that people are chatting about. Well, I still kind of want to stay true to myself and like learn things and showcase really cool, interesting stuff. So I don't know. I've considered like, are people going to click on like some blockchain or crypto stuff if I got into that? I think there's a lot of potential in that because I'm not a huge fan of the whole crypto craze, but I think there is some interesting security repercussions in that, and like scams and fraud and hacker malware in the sense that does Bitcoin and stuff like that. I'm trying to think of more low-level reverse engineering because those seem to do really well. A lot of people are really interested in those style of videos, and I feel like I'm slowly getting better at that. I don't know. I like to now bridge the gap from Capture the Flag, which has sort of been like a play pretend learning environment for security, but now kind of do like quote unquote real security or more stuff in the industry or more stuff that you might see in the enterprise and marketplace and businesses. So I guess I'm not sure, but something.
So I know you were talking about like earlier with how you got into cybersecurity. It was like through this blog post and through the Python language and how you started making tutorials online. Is that all how you got into the cybersecurity world? Was there any more like any people who may have inspired you into that world or any
for sure. I can tell, I guess, that story. So when I was at my undergrad, when I was kind of at college trying to learn some stuff, my college didn't offer a computer science or cybersecurity degree. Like there wasn't a major or anything to study. It was all kind of, you got to learn this stuff on your own. Eventually we had like formulated a cyber team, which is weird, like a sports team in a way that would just spend time dedicated to practicing and working through challenges and tasks to get better. But at one point, I think in my freshman year, there was an event going on across all the different service academies that was called Cyber Stakes. And it was a Jeopardy style CTF for one thing. But in my naive mind, because I didn't know what CTFs were at that point, I thought it was like, oh, it's like the Olympics for like hacking. But it was an event that we would show up live and in person to down in like Pennsylvania or something. And all the other military services would be there. And we would just work through challenges or work through tasks because I didn't know what a CTF was at the time. But the event was hosted by For All Secure, in the company that has a lot of affiliation with the Plaid Parliament of Poning, which is one of the CTF teams that's like consistently number one in the world. So I remember like being in the room talking to Tyler Nicewander and talking to like Thanasis and other incredibly smart people that I didn't know that were complete celebrities at the time. But they were the ones that were like chatting with us because we showed up and we didn't do the best. It was like our very first time. We were the underdogs there. So when I had asked them kind of after the game, how do I practice? How do I improve? What can I do to get better at this? Then they were talking about CTF time and Over the Wire and Smash the Stack and a bunch of different war games to practice. And that just opened the floodgates. So having a conversation with Tyler Nicewander and with Plaid Parliament of Poning was like, yeah, you can get into this. It's just a matter of like learning and going to play and going to try stuff.
Right.
So again, I'd look up on YouTube, IPSec, another incredible creator.
Yeah.
I'd watch some of his stuff. This is an old one, harkening back to Medalex 1000, I think was his username. And his name is Chris Occhipinti, and he has a YouTube channel that would showcase like Linux and a lot of bash scripting, a lot of learning in Linux. And I feel like I got some of my chops from there. So it's cool. I think it's super cool when you see like community and a bunch of other people that have produced content and created things so that you can level up your own skills. Like we're all trying to learn and trying to get better. So.
No, I like that. No, it's very true. It's very true. So what I believe is fair to say is you as a cybersecurity professional, what is your opinion on the cyber attacks that have been going on? I know President Joe Biden has made a security task force, like an anti-hacking task force. I don't know if you went to the kind of share anything on that, your opinions or beliefs on that.
Yeah, I can chat a little bit about it. I'll add the disclaimer that, hey, this is just me. This is just John talking, not by any means my employer or whatever. I have been kind of keeping tabs on and looking around at kind of a lot of the very frequent cybercrime incidents. And I think it was like last week or even just the week before, it was like, oh, JBS is hit with ransomware. Colonial Pipeline is hit with ransomware. Fujifilm is hit with ransomware. The steamship is hit with ransomware. It's like every single day.
Right.
You wake up in the morning and you're like looking at your phone for the bad weather of cybercrime. What was the ransomware du jour? Part of my job is kind of weird and then like, oh, I can lurk around on the dark web or like connect to some spooky sites to see what bad guys are talking about and what's going on. And I think ransomware has become like really prolific now because of, maybe this is just my hot take. So again, forgive me, and maybe I've got the wrong opinion. I'm curious to see other folks' thoughts on this. But the whole advent of cryptocurrency, like that's what makes the perfect getaway car for ransomware and cyber criminals, because there's like nothing else that lets them hold a carrot over a victim when they say like, look, you need to pay me $5 million in cryptocurrency as quickly as you can, because Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever, it's untraceable. It's without borders. It has no identity tied to it whatsoever. You don't need your email address or your credit or social security number. It's not like a bank credit card statement or a wire transfer, etc. I think, and just totally my opinion, that is what's kind of lighting the fire. And now we've got ransomware running rampant.
No, that's fair. That's very true. I do concur with your statement. And it seems like almost like ransomware has become like a hacking trend almost. Like all this, like, oh, they're doing it, I'm gonna start doing it, and kind of like carry on from there. But do you know, or you have any tips or suggestions for companies that may be watching on how to prevent these type of situations?
Ooh, yeah, I can enumerate a ton of stuff. I guess I'll tier these in a different way, because we talk a lot about kind of security between prevention and detection. We talk a lot about like automated analysis. Oh, using AI and machine learning and buzzword, blinking box product, etc. I think at the bare bone basics, at the absolute minimum, you've got to get the basic security hygiene, which is so trite and so oversaturated. It's the boring and boilerplate stuff now. But that's when people say, hey, use long, complex passwords, use a password manager, don't use the same password for every single thing, enforce multi-factor authentication literally everywhere, have a password policy, have a response plan, have the doors and windows boarded up before stuff hits the fan, and those are the very soft, high-level, I guess, people-oriented things. Educate your people. Make sure they don't click on links, even though they're going to anyway because of phishing emails. When you get to the technical solutions, they're all defenses and mitigations that attempt to solve the problem, but can always kind of be circumvented, like application whitelisting with app locker, or constrained language mode because PowerShell is such a high value target now, or the local admin password solution, LAPS, or credential guard, or control flow guard. All of these different technology things are good and cool, and they make the hacker work harder, but a super sophisticated threat actor can still like work to get past that. They'll still circumvent and work around those mitigations. So if you ask me, in my opinion, I don't think prevention is what we can solely focus on. We can't put all our eggs in our basket and trying to stop the attacks, because we know it's going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Like assume compromise, assume breach, and that mentality. So Defense in depth is the other buzzword that we all say, like, hey, getting compartmentalized layers of your security stack in place. And that I think goes back to the first point of like the fundamental security hygiene has to be there. But in my mind, I think detection is kind of where we need to focus. And we can't always trust the machine. Like we can't trust the antivirus tool. We can't trust the AI, machine learning, whatever solution that we hope will solve the problem, because you just sort of set it and forget it, and then pray that we're not going to get hacked. Yeah. I think we kind of need to be proactive and have human beings in the mix, like you and me or anyone else. Hey, we're a security expert, right? We have the expertise. We know the problem. We have worked through this code, have worked through these things before. We understand the context when, hey, Microsoft Word has a child process of like PowerShell. That's weird. Obviously, that's a super like trivial example, and an automated solution could track that down. But just to show, when you get into more complex stuff, having a real person look through and understand what is happening in this attack, in this tradecraft, in this malware, then you know where all the breadcrumbs are, where else they have their hooks and claws in to embed themselves into the target computer. So you can get that out, you can eradicate it. There are no false positives, there are no false negatives, because you've looked. I think we need to bring more people into the fight and supplement our automated process with some manual analysis, definitely.
Yeah. No, that's very true.
Sorry. I know I'm long-winded. I know I yap and blab on for a while.
So, no, that's very, very true. Like these security fundamentals that companies need to like instill and make sure that, like, you know, as you mentioned, it is not only important to have this layer of prevention, but it is also important to have this layer of detection, especially with humans in the works rather than automated machinery. And a good example of this is penetration tests. I know companies have hired a lot of like red teams or fire teams to come in and test their systems and things like that in order to prevent it from happening in the first place. And that also seems like a very key point in stopping these types of attacks.
Yeah, definitely.
And so you have any advice for those who enter the cybersecurity world? Because I know a lot of people come to your channel to kind of enter that world, right? So
yeah.
What is your take on that?
Any advice? So I guess there are a whole lot of different perspectives as to how you might get into it. If you kind of stumble across my channel, or if you're Googling around, if you're looking to learn a whole lot of cybersecurity, you might have to like look at yourself and kind of see, hey, what are your values? What are you interested in? What do you want to learn and become familiar with and associated with and gain your expertise in? Because I think what we showcase a lot of time in my channel or for others, we talk about training and education, we talk about certifications, we talk about a degree, we talk about going to school, we talk about work experience, getting a job, resumes, interviews, like hiring. It's no secret that cybersecurity can be a lucrative, well-paying industry. So don't solely go into it, I just want it for the money bags. Yeah. I just want it for the dollar bills. I think a lot of us are really, really fundamentally grapple with there's a legitimate problem that we keep trying to think we're secure. We keep seeing that we're not, and we haven't been able to get that ground back. So learning a whole lot of cybersecurity should come from a good moral and ethical stance where you're like, I want to make the world better. I want to make our industry, our business, our nation more secure. So when you're learning, maybe that's something to keep in mind. And if you feel like I'm just doing cheeky try hack me rooms, or I'm playing the weekend CTF, like, no, you're still kind of learning the skills that will come into critical thinking, that will come into your curiosity and inquisitiveness, that will help you solve problems. And maybe that's something to keep tucked in your back pocket, because I think when people get into this, sometimes they feel like this is really hard, like banging my head against the wall. trying to solve something and it doesn't make sense. I don't understand why it's happening. Troubleshooting and debugging is just a crippling thing. Don't hesitate to take breaks. Don't hesitate to procrastinate. Totally deserve some R&R, rest and relaxation, if you feel like you're struggling. But keep at it. Keep playing, keep trying, keep learning. But I would harp especially on keep playing, because a lot of what I kind of just said previously, it's about you have an innate longing for this sort of stuff because it's fun, because it's a passion, because you love it. And I hope that I can help kind of foster that and I don't know, share that and kind of what I put out and produce. But as long as it's something that you enjoy, then it doesn't feel like work, right? There's the saying, you never work a day in your life if you're doing what you love. So find the stuff that you're really interested in and then keep playing with it.
Well, that's very true. That's very true. Well, John, I thank you for your time. It was really amazing experience to be able to interview you and talk to you. And are you wearing a throwback shirt?
Yeah. This is one of the Try Hack Me.
Yeah, I remember the stream. That was awesome.
Nice.
If you enjoy content like this, then you will absolutely love the Happy Hacker site plan. For just $7 a month, you get access to exclusive videos, articles, courses, and learning resources, all created just for you.
But wait, there's more!
You'll also be able to freely access our custom-built malware, tools, payloads, and suites. So if you're ready to level up from a newbie to a pro, head over to cosmodiumcs.com/support and check it out today.